Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Cassandra Fleming, and I'm the Head of Secondary at GEMS International School, Tropicana Metro Park. I'd like to talk to you today about assessment and how we use assessment at our school to guide children on the journey of education that they are on with us. Assessment is a journey to find improvement. It's not to find fault, it's to find out what's next. And our guiding principles say that a child is going to be assessed to find out where they still need to go and how we still need to help them to find their potential. We know that the value of any assessment conducted depends upon the quality of the information that it gives us. There is no point testing a child for a test's sake, and sometimes tests can make children feel incredibly anxious. At GEMS International School, we use continuous observations of children. We watch behaviour, we watch attitude, and we watch their responses to day-to-day schooling. We monitor homework, we use an assimilation of data which tells us how your child is doing. We use end-of-topic tests, and we also use end-of-term tests and end-of-year tests as well. But one thing that we do in our school is use GL assessment to show us external data to verify what we are doing with your children. GL assessments are based in the UK, and they are used by over 100 different countries across the world. And all of GEMS International schools use these to gauge where their children are going. The tests give us rigor, and they give us an external source which allows us to compare where our children are to other children across the world. They allow us to give statistical projections so we can show parents and help parents to find out where their child is going and actually what should be the expectation of their child moving forwards. Within our school, we use 4 different products from GL. We use CAT4, we use progress tests, we use PASS, and we use the NGRT. We use the CAT4 tests, which is the first one we do, and that's the one that's done on entry to our school, to identify developed abilities and to identify likely academic potential. This can give us a really good indication of where your child is going when we're looking at their GCSE results in particular, which I will talk to you about a little bit later on. We also use progress tests in maths, English, and science, which give us age-appropriate data to again allow us to compare your child to children in other schools across the world. This allows us to compare children within a cohort, within a class, and across an organisation. We use PASS tests to identify hidden barriers to learning. A PASS test gives us the opportunity to identify why a child might be achieving in a certain way and to see how they feel about learning and how they feel about education. Because children are not just numbers. Children are influenced by many, many factors, and the PASS test gives us an idea of where the barriers might be for a child potentially not reaching what we would expect of them. The NGRT is another test that we use, which allows us to test reading and comprehension for children as we go along, again, to make comparisons across year groups and across schools. So we use the tests at different points in the year. The CAT4 assessments are the ones that children do on entry to the school. So these are the ones that if you sign up with us and you join our process, that will be done immediately on entry. We do progress tests every single year from year 2 to year 9. And like I say, in science, maths, and English, the science starts later on in the primary school rather than at the beginning of the primary school in year 2. CAT4 assessments are done in year 2, year 5, year 7, year 9, and year 11, because we recognise that children change, and we recognise that children can grow and children can develop. So it's important that we take regular testing to ensure that we've got the most accurate data that we possibly can have. We also do yearly PASS assessments, usually in term 2, to find out what's going on with the child and see if there are any barriers that we can identify to them reaching their potential that academic year. We have replaced the NGRT this year in the secondary school with a Renaissance reading program. The reason we've done this in the secondary school this year was based on a decision from our current head of English, because this program links reading to live books. And it gives us not just one-off test scores, but gives us a pathway that we can give a child and we can put a child on. So why do we do these assessments? Like I say, assessments have to be meaningful, and they have to be reliable, and they have to be something that we can make. There's no point testing a child for testing's sake. So we use the progress tests in English, maths and science, like I say, to make sure that we can identify how a child is doing. Because we might have a cohort of students within a school that might be, and I can say a number of our cohorts are exceptional. So how do we identify that they're exceptional? Well, we use data which they can compare us to other schools. And like I say, there have been 7 million of these tests done since they were introduced. Progress tests allow us to monitor progress, to make sure that a child doesn't have a year where they don't make as much progress as we would like. They allow us to inform our planning for year on year. So for example, if we have a year 7 cohort who have struggled with statistics for whatever reason, these tests will identify that, and we can then build this into planning for the next academic year. They allow us to identify where a child is reaching their potential. And they allow us to show, actually, is there something that we can tweak, or is there something that we can do to help? Like I say, assessment is a journey to find improvement. It's not to find fault. And we need children to understand that they're not just numbers on a page, and we know that as educators. We use the CAT4 data in school to project and predict likely examination results. Our pathway at our school is towards IGCSE and will be towards A-level when we open our centre in September. CAT4 allows us to set realistic and challenging targets for these. They give us personalised information towards the subjects that we offer, and they identify students who might need to be channeled in one direction or another. They identify if a child might need a little bit more support, and also identify a context for attainment. It could be that a child is particularly numbers gifted, in which way we need to channel them towards a numbers subject. I will show you just now how we use CAT4 data to communicate with our parents when we're looking at how a child is doing. So I show you now the report data of a made-up student, I will say this, for year 7 to 9. As you can see on here, there are a lot of numbers and there are a lot of information on here. As you can see on here in the third column along, we have an end of year expected grade. This end of year expected grade is pulled directly from CAT4 data, because the CAT4 data tell us what trajectory a child should be on. What we then do with that CAT4 data is identify, okay, is the child going to achieve that CAT4 data? And if they're not, what do we need to do to help? If a child is going to exceed their CAT4 data, fantastic. How do we need to continue pushing that child to make sure that they achieve exactly as we would want them to? This one's a little more tricky to read. This is our Key Stage 4 data, which we would use again to show parents how your child is doing. We use an IGCSE expected grade, which again is on the third column along, and shows us what a CAT4 assessment would expect a child to get in a given subject. We then track and monitor a child based on this trajectory. Is the child going to meet this grade? Is the child going to fit the statistical analysis that these tests say that they will? If they're not, why are they not? What do we need to do to make sure that your child gets the A-star grade or the A grade that they deserve and that they should be on track for? If a child is exceeding our expectations, fantastic. what has gone well, why, what has worked in that particular subject that we could apply across other areas. GL assessments give us data, and I want to say that children are more than just numbers. Children are people, and children need to identify with us and look at where they're going. And it's our job to identify how we can help them on that journey and on that pathway. Great academic results will get you to an interview, but it's who you are that will get you the job. We use GL data to help figure out where you're going, but it's the education system that will help mold and build a child. I'd like to take the opportunity to see if there are any questions based on the information that I've given you. It could be that you're a parent already in the school that has tuned in and has got questions on how we use the data and how this looks like, or you could be an interested parent looking at how GL is used in other schools. So if I give you the opportunity to ask any questions you might have in the chat box here, I will answer them as we go along. You just bear with me, I am just looking for the chat section. If you can just have a look and let me know if there's anything you want to know. The only feedback I'm receiving is that you'd like to have a little bit more of a look at the slides. So what I would suggest is that if you would like to see these, if you drop us an email, we can email them directly to you. That's absolutely no problem at all. If you do receive the slides from us and would like to ask any follow-up questions, again, please feel free to write the questions and we will respond to you on those. I appreciate hearing about data and assessment is relatively well, mind-boggling, if I'm honest, particularly as a parent. Being a parent myself, I do know that. So if you do have a look and you can't find anything, please let us know and we will help that. If there are no further questions, I will leave you from here, but please do reach out to the team if there's anything you've heard today, or if there's anything that you would like to find out more about from us, we would always be happy to help you. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.